my name's Sarah from Peerless Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make a lovely monogram with a surname using the book folding patterns from Peerless Designs. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is print out our patterns. So I'm going to do my surname, so I printed out the fancy H monogram. You also need to print out your alphabet. If you've used my book folding patterns before, the alphabets are all single. Now this is a cut and fold pattern, so we've not done an alphabet in cut and fold before. It does say on it cut and fold pattern only. You won't get confused, and with the cut and fold patterns we have to work the pattern on every other page of the book. Okay, so what we'll do is, if you notice on the pattern along the top you've got your little arrows as normal. You've also got a red line. We're going to have to cut the pattern, all of the patterns, on this red line. So we'll get a trimmer and our patterns, and all we're going to do is just pop this in. It's quite important to get the patterns cut at the same point, because obviously they're made to work together and we need to be able to line them up properly. So I'll cut that one, and I've just left the tiniest bit of red on the edge there that you can just about see. So I'll go to my next one. You'll notice on the alphabet patterns that you've got two, so we're going to cut that red line and that red line to separate them. Okay, so pop it in, hopefully in the same place. Cut that one, move it along, cut that one as well. So you end up with the alphabet in small. Okay, you'll notice on the top of the monogram page, the bit that you cut off has got a start calculator. This is going to make it easy to find out whereabouts you're going to start in your book. So what we'll do is check how many pages your book has. Now what we need to do is the actual word that we're going to write and the monogram are going to be done marked separately, even though they're going to be one complete pattern in the end. This is the only way I could do it really, because I don't know what you're going to write, and normally you would have to pay for a bespoke pattern to be made, especially with the word that you want to write on it. Because I want you to be able to sort this out yourself, we've got a calculator. Okay, you'll notice on the bottom of the monogram page it says you will need at least 484 numbered pages in your book. Now every single monogram is exactly the same amount of pages, so we have to work out whether the monogram has more pages or your actual word has more pages. If you've got a surname that's really long, you're going to be starting with your surname, and to find out how big your book needs to be, we need to determine which one out of the monogram and the surname has got the most pages. So for the monogram, you've got this little calculator here that's on the cut-off section. So we've got the numbered pages in our book. Now I know that my book has got 552 pages, so we write that in there. Okay, and minus the pages in the pattern, that's already written in for you. So we've got minus the pages in the pattern, and then that equals 68. Then we're going to divide 68 by 2, which comes to 34. So we know that our monogram is going to start at page 34. Now that's the actual numbered page, 34. So we can go in here. Now 34 happens to be on the left hand side. So all I'll do is just flick the page over, and I know that the monogram is going to start at that page. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that. It's quite handy to just pop that in there, you know, that's where that's going to start. Okay, now we've got our word. Now I'm going to write my surname, which is Hallam. So we will write it in here. So we've got Hallam. Now all of the actual alphabet has got above it how many pages. Now you'll notice that that's actually double the amount of lines that are on here. That's because with the cut and fold patterns we're working on every other page, so it's basically double the amount of lines. So all we're going to do is go along and check how many pages and write it underneath each letter. So H is 36, A is 34, so I'll pop 34 under that one as well. We've got 26 for the two L's, and the M is 38. Okay, and then you've got your little calculator here. So your word, we're going to add all these numbers up, and they come to 194. We're going to times that by 2, which is 388. So we know that for the actual word I'm going to need 388 numbered pages in my book. Now if you remember, the main monogram is actually 484 pages, so there's less in the name than there is in the monogram. We will start with the monogram. Right, so then again we put in how many pages our book has got, which was 552, minus the pink box, which is this one here, 388, and that equals 164. Divide that by 2. All you do is just follow what it tells you on here, and that equals 82. So the start page for your surname, or the name that you're going to write, is page 82. So again, we'll go in, find that page 82. Again, it's on the left hand side, so we'll start on the right hand side, pop it in there, and we know in later on when we come to do this part, we know that's where that's going to start. Okay, we're ready to start our pattern. As I say, we're going to mark separately the large monogram, and the actual alphabet will be done separately. So it's going to be slightly different than the other cut and folds, because on the other ones we went along and folded every other page. We're not going to do that just yet on this one. It's going to be easier to mark it, especially as we've got to mark twice if the pages are flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 pages, and we're going to slide our pattern underneath, and we're going to pull it until we're making sure we line up right at the top here, as we always do. Line up there, put it across till we get to number 1, and we're going to mark as normal with a cut and fold pattern. We're going to mark the beginning and end of every single line that appears on this line. So I'm going to cross off the number 1, and I'm going to mark them all. So there's that one, the beginning and end of each one. The closer you get to these lines, the better the finish will be. Also, you need a nice sharp pencil. I'm going to change mine to this one. The one I had wasn't that sharp, so we've gone all the way down and we've marked every line. Now, because we've tucked it in behind 2 pages, we can now turn both of those 2 pages out the way, tuck them under the elastic band. If you haven't done them before, I've just put a large elastic band over the left hand side of the book so I can tuck the pages in. Okay, so then we get our pattern piece again. Bring back 2 pages. You must remember each time it's 2 pages that you're taking back, and then slide it in again, checking the top. Make sure that the top lines up with that red line. Get the pattern nice and straight. Cross off your number 2 and beginning and end of each line all the way down. This cuts the time in half as if you were doing a normal pattern that you would have to actually measure. All the measuring's done for you. It's so simple, anybody can do it. Okay, again, 2 pages, tuck your pattern in. That's all we're going to do all the way now through the whole pattern. Okay, so number 3, beginning and end, beginning and end. Okay, turn your 2 pages, 2 pages again. This way, you must make sure you turn the 2 pages, otherwise you're going to end up without your folded page in the middle, which is not going to be so good. That's why on the other cut and fold patterns we started by folding every other page, because that way when you're new to cut and fold, you're not gonna make a mistake, whereas with doing it this way you could fold 1 page back by mistake and mark the next page. So you have to remember it's 2 pages. Now this way of doing it, which I actually find easier now that I'm used to doing it, can be done with volume 1 as well. So you can do it with both of them. So if you find this way easy, I think it's easier to mark, because once you've folded the in between pages, it makes it a bit uneven. So this way, because the pages are nice and flat, it's a lot easier to mark. So I tend to do it like this way all the time now. So we're just going to carry on, making sure we turn back the 2 pages, pop our pattern in and marking, crossing it off as we go. So I'll carry on marking this and I'll come back. A little tip for you as you're going along, a book has signatures, which means that every so many pages they're glued together, and when later on as we come to actually put our templates in, we want the template to go right into the spine every time so that our folds are even. So as you're going along, every so often just stretch the spine of your book open. You know, even if you do it every couple of pages, because you will find that some of them, the glue actually comes into further across the spine, so you need to really stretch those pages open. It'll make a big difference to the final finish of your folds. Okay, so I've finished the marking now. I've gone right to the end of my monogram. And then we're going to start doing the actual word that we want to write. So you'll notice the way I've designed the patterns is you've got your alphabet across the bottom. Now that is placed, and it should be in exactly the right place. So if you line that up at the top there, it's going to fit really nicely in this space. So like with all my other patterns, depending on whereabouts the letter is you're going to use, I'm going to just fold this so that I can slide it into the spine of the book, because the H I need is over to the right hand side. I'm just going to fold it in, and then with that folded you can actually see if I line up at the top there, they're going to fit in between those two into the space. Now if you don't cut them right, exactly the same at the top, you know, you may find that it's going to be in the wrong place, so always just check. Sometimes if your printer takes the paper through crooked, that can have a big impact on how it's actually going to come when you come to mark it. But because we've cut it, as long as we cut it on the red line, it shouldn't actually make any difference, because the line is straight and everything lines up with that line. So even if it's gone through crooked in your printer, it won't matter. But do just check that you're happy with the placement of where the letter's going to be. Okay, so we're ready now to start with our the alphabet letters. So we're going to open our book, and we know that we marked where the surname's going to start. Now this time it's going to make it a bit easier for you, because again we're going to be doing every other page when we're marking, but because we've already marked, we know that when we're going along, if I turn and I happen to end up on a blank page, I know that I'm on the wrong page. So it will make it a little bit easier for you. If when you're going along you find out that you have only turned one page, it's not the end of the world. You can tear or cut a page out from a spare page out and insert it in, the same as if you've done too many. Say you've turned 3 pages, again just rip one of them out. It's not, you know, the end of the world, but it's better if you don't have to add pages in. Obviously it's going to be a lot better. Right, so I've got my start page. I'm just going to pop my elastic band on there, and we're going to go along and do exactly the same as we did before. Find my pencil. So again we're lining up that top edge. I'm just going to refold that, because I don't know if you can see, it slightly sticks up above the red line. When you fold, make sure that if anything it goes below the red line, so that it's not going to interfere with the straightness of your page. Okay, so I've done it slightly below at the back so that I know that this top edge is going to stay true. Okay, so we will again 2 pages, pop it in, and we're doing the H. So pop it in and do your marking exactly the same as you did before. Now these ones haven't got numbers on them because they're quite small, but just make a mark above the line that you've just done. Okay, so turn a page, the 2 pages rather, get another 2, pop your pattern in, line up at the top and mark. So we're just going to go along and mark each line. Okay, so we've marked the H now, so we're going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to get the next letter, which is the A, and again I'm going to fold the pattern just to make it a little bit easier so there's not so much bulk. Okay, and again exactly the same, we're going to pop it in and carry on marking. Okay, I've just turned my page as I'm marking this A, and I realise that there's nothing on this page, so I'm just checking that I have turned 2, which I have. So this means that I obviously at some point turned 3 pages instead of 2, so all I'm going to do is just take that one out. And this is another reason why I say when it says how many, a minimum of so many pages to complete your book, you know, some people look for that amount of pages, but it's always better to have a lot more pages. I also find that it centralizes the design better if you've got pages either side. So and when you come to things like that, if you've got to rip a page out, if you'd have had exactly the right number of pages, you'd then have to go in at the end and stick this page back in, and it would just be a faff. So I would always recommend having a lot more pages in your book than you actually need. Okay, so now I'm going to do the L. So all we're going to do, we just do each letter individually until you've done the amount that you need for your name. You don't have to leave any spaces in between. So yeah, just go along and each one, do all your letters one at a time. So I'll pop this one in now, exactly the same, slide it in, cross it off and carry on marking. Again, just keep an eye on the markings on your page. Make sure you're not on a blank page. And we're going to carry on right to the end of the surname. And then I'll come back. Okay, I've finished marking all of the book now. If you look on the edge, you can actually see the pencil marks when you've finished, and just check that it actually looks right. I can see that Hallam is nicely in the centre of the book there, and the lines look fairly straight. If you look and you see one of the, I mean, we know that those are 2 straight lines there. If one of them looks like you know, the mark is really off, you can go in at this stage and mark it, rub it out and remark it. You know, sometimes you may have not quite had the pattern at the top of the book enough. Okay, so we're ready now to go to the next part, and we're going to cut and fold our design. Okay, so we've turned back to our very first page where we started our design. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to fold the page before, where the page we've marked on. We want to fold that over using a template. Now, I use a plastic template. It can be cardboard. You cut it to however far you want it. I like to be able to see text in the background, so I've cut it slightly into the text. Okay, now this template is quite important because every page wants to be folded exactly at the same point so that it looks really nice and flat when the design's finished. So we're going to turn back one page, like I said. We're going to pop our template in. I turn the book towards me, and sometimes as well I'll use something just to prop up the back of the book, the face of the book, just so it's level. So we're going to push our template right into the spine. That, you know, we want to make sure it goes right in there. We need to get ourselves a folder, get the page, turn it back, take your template out and give it a good crease. This is going to be the template to where we're actually going to cut. So then we go to we can now see our next page that's got the marks on it, and all we're going to do is do a straight cut and stop at the folded page. Your scissors will automatically stop there anyway, so and if you cut into it, it doesn't matter that much, but just do as straight as you can. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Every single mark that you've got, we're going to make a cut. Okay, so now you've got all your cuts. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold those cuts back. So these on the other cut and fold, you have a choice between innie and outie. Again, you can choose if you wish, but these are better as an innie. So we're going to lift the page and we're going to miss the first flap, and then we're just going to go in under the second one and fold it back. Then what I like to do is just grab hold of that and lift my page slightly, and it makes it easier, and we can weave our bone folder in and out. So we're just going to miss one, weave underneath, miss one, weave underneath. I'm going to do those two, just push them both back, give them a crease, and again there's one left at the bottom. And then lift your folded page up, push down the little flaps underneath the page with your bone folder, and then we're going to turn both of them together and tuck them under our elastic band to keep them out the way. Okay, so again we're going to get our template and we're going to fold again, make sure it's right into the spine of the book, fold back, crease. It's important to crease it, it wants to be a nice crease. Lift your page, and then again we're going to do our cut. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and fold all the pages. If say you're watching the telly or something like that and you just want something simple to do, then you can do that. I prefer to do it this way, but it's completely up to you. So again we're going to just lift the page and get the first one, miss it, fold back the second one, and then once you've got that one to hold on to, you can lift the page, and it makes it much easier for you to weave in and out. Always miss one, fold one every time. Okay, again lift your page, push back the little flaps, and then fold. So that's as easy as it gets, as hard as it gets rather. We're just going to pop our template in each time, every single page, until we get right to the end. Making sure we score it every time. So cutting. The great thing with cut and fold is it's just so simple to do and really, really therapeutic, but you get such a great result from it. So lift up your page, weave in and out, and tuck out the way. So all we're going to do is carry on doing that right the way to the end of the book. Okay, this here is an example of what I was telling you about the signatures. See this page, these two pages here are actually stuck together quite high up. So what we're going to do is just ease them very gently, ease them apart. Obviously we don't want to rip them, but if you hold the pages with your thumbs to keep them tight and just very gently pull apart, okay, you can see now that they've gone back down to the spine, because if we'd have actually put our template in, it would have only have come to there, so this page would have looked completely different. Okay, so we've finished all our folding now, and we have our lovely monogrammed surname. You don't have to fold a surname, you can fold any name you want. Also at the end, when you get to the end of your pattern, I tend to, especially if there's a few pages left, I will carry on folding every other page, and that just makes it stand out. Otherwise you have a solid line of pages down the side, so that just finishes it off. And then I'll go back to the beginning and do the same at the beginning just to make it even. That's about it. That is as hard as it gets. Really simple to do, but what a great effect it is with this etched effect. One more thing before I go. On the top of your book, you'll find that the pages will pull away from the spine because of the weight of the folds. So what I do to stop that happening, here's one here that I haven't actually done yet. There's there it is. You see how it's pulling away, and it'll tend to pull down at the bottom and it'll tip forwards. So what I do is get my glue gun, and I will just put the glue into the spine, the hot glue, just a couple of squirts in there, and then push the whole book or the spine towards you so that it catches it. And once that's dry, that will hold all the pages back, and there you go. I really hope you enjoy using my patterns and have fun making these gorgeous books. Look out for more from Peerless Designs coming very soon.